Center, CUNY. It looks like we are sliding slowly into the summer, and it's a beautiful day again here in New York City after that really tough, horrible winter and early spring, but seemed to be cold and not yet out there. And there's signs on the streets, your good people are walking around, most actually with masks, even so officially we do not have them. They are the first performances that people can attend to. Annie Hamburger just opened some of her productions. Again, she was here with us on the Segal talk. So this is great signs of life. Things in the parks are happening unorganized, and we all hope that this will be the turn of the corner, at least in the US. We have devastating news, of course, from India, as we heard last week, and from other places, and we do not know what will happen, if the Broadway will open in this September, if it's possible in such a short time. But we all do think there will be again live performances here, which had been all the time already in France, Germany, and other countries, but not in the US. It was really, really, really close, as Professor Marvin Carlson reminded us. Even in the time of Shakespeare, when there was the plague, London theater companies could go outside to London and perform in smaller towns. This was not possible. Here is a complete shutdown. It's been unprecedented. And we are still dealing with that, and it has changed so much, perhaps almost for 2 years. There has been interruption in going to theater, thinking about theater. And as many artists said here, it has also been important to have a time of reflection, a time to understand where we come from, where we are going to. And it's now about what are we going to do? Was tun, what to do, Lenin said famously. And this is now what we all have to think anew in the world we live in. And with us, we have artists, and they often and always, I think, are on the right side of history, on the right side of the struggle for freedom and democracy. They live really in the moment and not in the past, and anticipate often the future and what lies ahead, combining existing traditional forms like performance, theater, music, opera with new digital media, the new media, and then something happens and catastrophes like the Corona time are a part of what will bring change, like, and so many people said here, like after World War II, when the Edinburgh Festival got founded, the theater festival in Avignon. We hope this is also a time where things will change differently. We are thinking in creating a park project, an international festival here in New York City, and we need a lot of help. So we really want to listen and hear what's working, what's not working from all around the world. And today we have a very significant reason. It's a very significant region with us here, a region that has been part of the world map of theater with a long tradition. Even so, it was sailing under different flags, often under a Russian one and or Soviet Union one, but now again under our own flags is the Baltic region, which we have with us here today. And so we welcome Anna Ablamonova and Dr. Goraparasit, both young, emerging and mid-career artists and presenters who have done a remarkable job, stunning work in a country, Lithuania, which has a long and significant history of theater, and we do not know enough about it. We should know much more. It's very alive, and especially the opera scene. So Anna and Jin, welcome to the Segal Talks.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello.
It's all about listening. We have to listen to the artists, and then I go on and on and on. But sometimes I think this is good because what I say is slightly boring, perhaps, and then it will create a bit more excitement when you finally come up. Where are you both, and what time is it?
It's like 4:07, and I'm in Kaunas, which is the second biggest city in Lithuania.
I'm in Vilnius, and it's at the same time. Vilnius is the first city, capital. Yeah, and I'm at the very center of the city right now.
So it used to be Vilna, now it's called Vilnius, Vilna in the Second World War, but now it's called Vilnius. Maybe, Anna, tell us a little bit about the city. Where is it located? And a little bit about the history, so we get an idea where you guys are.
It's located in Lithuania, and Lithuania is located beside the Baltic Sea, close to Scandinavian countries. And we have a lot of neighbors, Belarus, a little bit of Russia, Latvia. So quite interesting region. And talking about history, maybe important to mention that in 2 years, we will celebrate 700 years of the city. So it's quite interesting place with very interesting history, interesting architecture, Baroque architecture mostly, and very old university, and very wide performing arts scene, I would say. But maybe it would be good to say that we have interesting scene not only in Vilnius but also in Kaunas, which will be a European capital of culture next year. We will celebrate another and create and have another big project. So it's really nice, tiny, small country with very interesting things happening around.
Fantastic. Let me just tell our viewers a little bit about both of you. Anna is the founder and producer of Operomanija, I guess. Yeah, did I pronounce it right?
Operamania.
Yeah, and it's a production house in Lithuania dedicated to the creation, promotion of new music theater through cross-disciplinary artistic collaborations. And since 2008, she has produced over 50 contemporary operas and various artistic projects. And these are all new operas, a lot of them. So something that would even make the Met very proud. And my guess is she had more female composers there than the Met, who made such a big promotion that finally we have a living female for the first time ever at the Met. And I thought it's nothing to be proud of. I think the work of what you guys do is of a real importance. So there are many works for opera, also with the Vilna Ghetto connected to site-specific work. And it is one of the leading international new music theater places in the Baltic region, and importantly also for us, since we are here at the Graduate Center CUNY, the great Graduate Center. Anna also serves as the head of the Art Center at the Lithuanian Academy of Music and Theater. So this is a great way to connect if anybody wants to, so this is great. And then we have with us Jin, Dr. Goraparasit. This is her working name, her nom de guerre or nom de plume, however you want it, as their artist name. And she is a digital theater performance, experimental film, and music director. She's a lecturer, methodologist, designer, and a member of WIF, Women in Film, and part of the Lithuanian interdisciplinary artist organizations. She has really an interest of what everybody kind of talks about, and we also about interdisciplinary work, combining new technologies, and her artistic and aesthetical interests lie in the depth of the net, the internet, the act of browsing in itself, and in an infinite cognitive journey of collecting and identifying audiovisual experiences by which one learns about the world, and through which they create a sense of self and a collective identity. And she tends to combine performance, cinema, theater, opera, neuroscience, digital culture in this expressive aesthetic language, and that is screaming foreign attention and our daily lives visually overloaded. The digital reality, she tries to compress that in her work, and I think it is interesting, it's stunning, it is new work. She has won many awards, just recently one of the best music videos she put out, she got a big award. And so thank you both again for being with us. And Jin, tell us a little bit about your town. Anna said it's also culturally on the map.
Yeah, it is culturally on the map. It's the smallest town in Vilnius, and as Anna mentioned, we are European Culture Capital in 2022. Yeah, and so we're going to have lots of things happening. So historically, architecture is beautiful. We have lots of medieval architecture also, as Vilnius also. Anna mentioned Baroque, but we have medieval beauties, churches. Like Anne's Church in Vilnius, we have this Vytautas Church. So I don't know, shall I tell you population? It's a beautiful city worth visiting, and the culture is getting really, really strong here. I love Kaunas very much. So I was born here in this really old Jewish hospital in 1984, and since then I'm totally dedicated to the city. Yeah, so.
Fantastic, and it's a big deal to be Italian, a European capital, cultural capital of the year. I think it was Madeira in Italy before, and Berlin is a very significant thing. How is it going? How is the situation with Corona at the moment?
It's getting better, Anna. Yes, I must say.
Yeah, it's getting better, though statistics are not so good as we had at the same time last year. But we are much more brave than previous year, and despite of the statistics, we have possibility to make events already and to have some spectators. We have restrictions, but still we can have around 30% of the capacity of the venues. We can make performances outside, and so it's slightly moving forward, and I hope it will get better, because the vaccination process is quite fast, I would say, here in Lithuania.
So numbers are worse than last year, but people are getting vaccinated, and theaters are open since when? So 30%?
Since
last month,
maybe,
I think.
Yeah, since the very end of April. Something like that. We started our events about 1 week ago. So, and that opening of the venues was quite unpredictable. Just government announced that you can make events starting from next Monday, but nobody was prepared for that. So it took some time to organize everything, to plan schedules, to sell tickets, and that's why all that movement of events started maybe at the beginning of May, second week of May. Yeah, and it's getting better, I would say.
That is good. So how does it work? Can you afford it? Can you play for 30%?
I think that most of non-commercial artists, they can do this because they cover all their expenses, having support from the government partly, and another part it is ticket sales. So we do not have to rely on ticket sales only. That is a European system. We have some support from the government, and that helps us to keep going and to perform our events, our performances for such a small audience. Yeah, but of course, those who organize some big events in arenas and they do not have government support, they are struggling. They're still struggling.
Someone said it's only war is more expensive than opera, and of course we love opera. Do you think, the moment right now, will it be much more complicated for you to do work? Or do you think once it's over, let's say everybody's vaccinated, you will go on like it was? Will there be changes?
I think there will be changes. There are already some changes. I think most of the changes happened in our heads. Because I started thinking if we should do so many work, if maybe we should do less, and to think a lot about what we are doing, because I think it was theater market was overdosed with all kind of arts. I think we should do less and to think more about quality, about what we are doing, what we are offering. So it was a very interesting time of challenges dealing with all the restrictions, with the COVID, with everything. But besides, that was a good time to think about what we are doing in general. Yeah, and I think it will make a difference in the. It already makes difference.
And one last question to you before we also go to Jen. We are very concerned what will happen. Will people come? When you opened, you said a week ago, did people come? Did tickets sell, or are people hesitant? What is the experience?
Actually, I discovered our audience again, and I'm in love with our audience because I think that was a huge support for us. They bought all the tickets we were selling, so it's not a problem. People want to have that real experience of performing arts, and they buy tickets. Of course, habits are a bit different. They're not buying tickets several months in advance. Normally it happens now like 1 week or 10 days in advance, or like 5 days. And due to this reason, it is complicated for us to plan everything. For instance, to plan more events, we have to be fast in our reactions. But in general, this pandemic helped me to rediscover our audience and to understand that they are really interested in this art that we are producing, creating. And yeah, I think nothing changed. Maybe even we are much more in love, if I can say so, with the audience.
That's fantastic. Jen, how did you experience this last year, the moment as an artist?
It was interesting because I am, as an artist, I can take a lot, and maybe it's bad or good, I don't know. But I also experienced pandemic, as I also experienced overload of work. So I don't really know. I can't decide. Was I really in quarantine, or was I working over too much? Is it online, digital work, in the studio work, everything to arrange around so the performance happens? In Lithuania, we had less restrictions than in Germany and other countries in summer. Then we had massive restriction, really strong and strict in winter. And again, we kind of allowing people to come to performances. So we had a chance to show a couple of works in end of the summer in Berlin, outdoors in the Lido, like next to the lake, and then one outdoors in Lithuania, but the work becomes much harder in sense of organizing everything and thinking, is it going to happen? One actor is going to get sick, then the whole crew can't perform, and then you're looking for different means of telling the story instead of showing the live performance. So the second show we did, TikTok Shakespeare in Lithuania, we filmed the whole performance on the video and we showed it on a LED screen. But the actors were present next to the stage, and if any of them would get sick or would not be available to be a part of the presence next to the stage, they would be present online next to the stage, next to LED screen. So I guess instead of thinking, because I'm not institutional artist, I'm not working for a national theater or opera houses. So for us, it's a little bit different because we're always experiencing this, coming in, doing the show, wrapping everything up and leaving, so we always on this kind of a traveling mode and not knowing what's going to happen. You're going to get project funded or not. So it's in that terms, nothing really changed. It just slow down the things, and you started to think and appreciate time more. And what Anna says, it's a really good thing. I really started to appreciate time. I really want to devote more time for the art I do, and this period just made me to think about it so much. And yes, I think theater was overloaded with all sorts of projects, and which sadly to say, some of them don't really have like some strong value, and I think time is a key for all of it. Regarding our audience, yeah, everything changed. It's different. For example, I'm doing a show now in Kaunas in September. And we have to do more shows than 1 or 2 because the audience is divided to smaller groups. So you're doing more premieres than you used to before, because to take the whole number of the audience that it used to be to come to the 1 or 2 shows before the pandemics. So, and yeah, I guess it felt, but it was overload of everything. Internet, also thinking about this digital transition. We talked with Anna before about this presence online, to be always online. Okay, you're off the line, but maybe if you have your Operamania, you know, running your company, which has to be reach the audience all the time. Do you need to be on Instagram, on Facebook all the time? I like to do these things sometimes. I'll get tired, but I know many people truly don't like this online presence, and that's the key question. Do we transition to online or not? And I think that was like kind of forced moment for artists to think about this transitional technological moment, because we will have to think about this eventually, because it's taking over everything. And we have to know the tools in order to know what we're fighting with, what we have to deal in the future with, I think. So this was a lot of information I kind of was capable to take in on myself, and still think which way to go and what's the best way, and finding the, you know, the niche for this. For example, we're doing a premiere in Mars in 2 months. We're doing a performance show in Mars in VR, and I found it very fascinating, the whole idea of this.
Planet Mars.
Yeah, it's virtual reality. You know, this all Astro thing, you know, these monopolies taking over, you know, all the space, you know, why we as an artist can't take a bit of it, you know, and you know, this kind of fiction that fake it till you make it, and I want to be part of this, you know, why not, just to play around all of this. So yeah, there's lots of things. At the same time, this constant idea of like countries who are not able to perform well in order to say make people secure and safe, you know, like Brazil and many other countries, you know, and so many thoughts, you know, lots of responsibilities, future thinking, past thinking.
That is truly interesting that you develop work that somehow now plays on Mars, that not only you leave your local or the global community, even though they are both connected now, and you say, let's go interstellar and do what the big companies think about, or NASA though. So let me go back to your opera works. You said you had the live opera, the actors were in the room, but if someone got sick, his or her part would be projected?
It's not an opera first, it's a theatrical play. It's Shakespeare, the Comedy of Errors.
In TikTok, you said Shakespeare TikTok?
Yes, TikTok Shakespeare. We were researching TikTok platform and the appearances of it, you know, and how it affects us and our brain, and how we can transform to these artificial intelligence or like algorithms of TikTok, some of the traditional theater kind of, but it needs time for this. We have to make a big research, because this platform is nasty and it's so smart in a sense, and it's not pleasant to work with, you know, constantly actors got really tired. But the idea of your question was the screen and the presence. The actor in the theater play have to be present on the stage, while with all these insecurities about getting sick, even, you know, running nose or getting fever, even though it's not COVID, you know, you have to close all the team until you get the results of the actor or someone from the team, you know, negative answer from the lab. So it was fair of me, because we planned the whole, you know, rehearsals and the premiere, all the money is there and the dates. And we were very scared that someone might get ill, and then we transformed the whole play on the screen. And the screen reflected a mobile screen. It was vertical, not horizontal. So it was, and the actors were present next to the stage all the time online, projecting live of them being next to the performance. And we thought about this idea: if someone gets sick, they will still be present next to stage online. in iPad or computer or mobile. They will be somewhere at home but present online. So that was the transition between this digital theater from the theater to the digital theater.
So actions on stage, but also on a big projection in landscape format at the same time. They could choose.
Yeah.
How did that work?
Well, it worked. The play was on the screen, and the actors were present on the stage. That was that kind of a performative, like very open transition between the theater and the digital theater. It needs development, I guess. You can play with this a lot. I mean, there's so much theater plays online. People got so creative during the COVID. You can see the whole Shakespearean plays, people doing it on Zoom, all the orchestra doing their performances on Zoom, so it's not only, there was so much development in this, so just an example that people can adapt and transform and, all this interdisciplinarity. And I think it was just as a playground, to try out if it works, but I think in Lithuania, it was a very important moment where their traditional theater kind of got shook a bit, and started to kind of question, okay, maybe that's the time to accept, these all individuals who are working outside the theater. And, I don't know how far they've gone with the thought of the merging artists, not institutional, but I think there will be some kind of more respect in the sense and talk. And I think Anna even mentioned that there were talks about in the governmental kind of a section with the funding, what concerns those independent artists like you, like Operamania, no?
Just governmental theaters, they normally have support and ticket sales. It is a small part of their incomes. So they have money to do their work. And as Gintare mentioned, those independent artists, when they do work, they always are in such situation where they do not know if they will have money to do the art. But in context of pandemic, it became clear that these independent artists need much more support, and there were some programs started for that. So yeah, I hope that attention to independent scene will stay after pandemics.
So something is changing, something was already there, recognized. Anna, before I get back to you, Jin, a question. You worked in film, in the digital realm before your interest in neuroscience, the brain, visual receptions and how it works. Did it prepare you for that time of Corona? Did you continue what you were doing, or did you discover something new?
Yeah, of course, because the methodologies what I'm working with actors allows us to work distantly. We can work online. We always were rehearsing online before pandemics, and that's not a struggle to do this again. Just a question of representation. If you do the live show before rehearsing online and doing like a few days, a week before rehearsals of the live show, you have to do it more on the screen, or even adapt the whole play for the video, so that's changed. But everything that we kind of were doing and exploring in the neuroscience methodology allows us to work online, and there's no need of tactile experience with the director and actor, so yeah.
So it was just one step on a journey you were already on, but kind of a confirmation that what you do actually has value, is important, significant, and is being taken more serious.
I don't know how serious it is, but I know that it helps me a lot now. Like, it seems like it just came naturally, the work online. But I think many artists, because we're so global, and we're so international in a sense. Anna works with so many international artists. I'm sure there were few rehearsals that were kept online, and you have to adapt. this adaptation, you know, constant adaptation. And it's just, I never thought that I would experience theater changing so much. And I always thought that I overlived this time, but I'm experiencing it to be kind of in a sense, digitalized and changed, and audiences also, you know, who knows? I hope there's not going to be another, you know, pandemic but yeah.
And you worked you said, you didn't even feel the Corona time. I was not isolated. I always worked. You felt, if not, it was even more work. So for you, it was a strong working experience that year.
Yeah, if it's not live, so it's online, you know, I realized that there was so much projects that keep going after me that you have to really finish. But I think the whole fair was parents and relatives and friends around, you know, and there's so much news on the television that like really freaks people out. And I've noticed my family members who watches lots of TV, they just become very paranoid, you know, and I hate media. I do hate it. And yeah.
Yeah. So how so very different of an experience than from, let's say, a New York artist. Anna, let's talk a little bit about the Operomanija, if I say it right. We hear so much about it. It's such a life center. What is your work about? Why is it different from others?
This is an independent. I think we hear echo. No.
We hear you well.
This is an independent company which was founded 14 years ago, and it's different because it is quite unique. Just imagine opera company which produced around 50 productions, new operas, and it has me and
opera was new.
Yes. And we have me as a producer, director, and also a content manager. And this is it, what we have. And for all the productions that we need, we hire all the people who are needed for all different ideas, and we collaborate with many independent artists. So we are not connected with any venue. We do not have any space. We are not connected with any ensemble. And in a way, it's complicated to work this way, but I feel a huge freedom in that. And I think that it helps us to rethink opera genre, to come back to opera's roots, because if we remember etymology of the word opera, what is opera? It is work. It is something which is done by different people. And so this is different, because most of context where you can see opera, normally it is opera house with existing stage, orchestra pit, ensemble, orchestra, and it's something that shows the path how to create opera. When we do not have anything, we can go anywhere and create our own operas. Maybe later we will we'll find some specific titles for these pieces. For instance, comic strip opera, which we have done with Gintare, or dance opera, or spatial opera in the dark, or opera performance, opera art installation, or even we can avoid the word opera. So I think it's very different company. Maybe for those who are familiar with the American performing arts scene, it's something like Beth Morrison projects. We are joking that Operamania is Lithuanian version of Beth Morrison projects. And we work kind of similar way. And the main aim of our work is artistic discovery, to create something that was never created anywhere. And I think sometimes we're struggling, sometimes it is difficult, but when we get those discoveries, artistic discoveries, that is the best motivation for us to keep going and to develop this field of art, contemporary opera or new music theater. Yes, and we started 13 or already 14 years ago organizing Contemporary Opera Festival, NOA, New Opera Action, but when we were really very young people, a group of artists and me. And later we started touring abroad, and that helped us a lot because it was complicated to develop this genre and develop organization working in Lithuania only. But now we are aiming on developing repertoire locally, to do some other works, residencies, release our recordings, even some books, and that these activities are very wide. Yeah, did I answer your question?
No, perfect. Maybe say one or two or three, or what are examples? What did you do? What was different, like projects?
Okay. I will remember them in connection with the pandemics. For instance, we have produced opera for 10 singing cashiers, supermarket sounds, and piano. Opera is called Have a Good Day.
So it's in Corona time. You continued producing in the time of Corona, and this is for 10 people in the supermarket at the cash register.
I continued produce during times of Corona, but this specific piece was premiered much earlier, and we have performed it in New York at Here Art Center in the context of Prototype Festival. And this piece is just for 10 singers who act as cashiers at the supermarket. There is also one pianist, jazz pianist, who acts as a security guard, and supermarket sounds. Yes, and
is it this, or is it in a supermarket, site specific, or on a stage?
Normally it happens on the stage, in the gallery, white box, or we perform it in the black box venue, and we turn it into semi-white box. By the way, in Here Art Center, all the space was painted white for us. It was white, yeah. And this was that piece which opened up for us all the possibilities and international market. And we started touring, and maybe important to mention that creators of this piece, that was their first collaborative project, first opera they did. And second opera they created not in cooperation with our production house, but still their second work, opera performance Sun and Sea. It was presented 2 years ago in Venice Biennale and got a golden lion. So yeah, you saw it.
Yeah, people were lying on the floor in kind of a fake beach, pretending to have a beautiful summer, but actually it was all fake environment. You would be upstairs, on a balcony, looking down on people. Once in a while, almost spontaneously starting to sing about their experience. You would see dogs running around, kids playing. It was a very beautiful and also disturbing thing. So amazing that you gave that company the first chance. Yeah, fantastic. And you did also something in the, go on.
And we're still touring with that Have a Good Day opera. It was performed already for 70 times, and it's quite a number for contemporary opera in Lithuanian context. And what is also interesting to mention, for instance, last year, it was, of course, sold out, especially after Venice Biennale Golden Lion. All the performances of opera Have a Good Day are sold out just in few moments. We put tickets for 4 performances online, and it is sold out. And after we got sold out, we had to cancel performances. We postponed them to September. And in September, we had new regulations. We had to have 1 or 2, I don't remember how many meters in between spectators. So we had to add additional performances to communicate with all the spectators who already bought tickets, and to make 5 operas performances in 27 hours. That was quite a challenge, and but we survived. So that was the reality of the pandemics. And for instance, another show we did together with Gintare, it's called Comic Strip Opera Alpha, for 2 singers, 1 actor.
Dr. Goraparasit was with us. Gintare.
Yes.
You did
It's fine. It's fine. Fine.
Sorry, Dr. Goraparasit, who acts in that opera as a director, set designer, costume designer, and all other possible designers. Yeah, and it was, and it is still very interesting connection between opera and comic strips, both genres which are very expressive, and we had very interesting result. And we are going with this performance to Prague, to Czech Republic. So we hope that this tour will not be canceled, and we will keep going with the performances and with tours. And another different productions, quite different to what I have mentioned. It is a comic, not comic, but sonic experience in the former Vilna Ghetto. It's called Glaistas. In English, we call it Filler. And this performance is designed for 5 spectators only, which are going through the ghetto together with 2 guides. And they have only headphones and natural scenography of the city, which still have some left over from the ghetto times. And by the way, this format of this performance was very good for the pandemics, and we had chance last year to perform it for more than 100 times, and already started doing it this year. Yeah, so these are performances we do. They are quite different, and we have much more different performances, but it's yeah, we need time to talk about them.
That's good. Yeah, I think we had Lucien with us, who runs the Invisible Dog at Brooklyn Art Center, and he said, you know, like in the old fables from La Fontaine, a big tree in a storm might fall faster, you know, than the reed or the grass. The grass can move, you know, it goes with the movement, and it will be there. And what we are seeing here in New York is they fell, or we haven't heard anything really on the stages of Lincoln Center, for example, the opera. Why isn't there anything happening, even in a small way? And then we don't understand, and we're also all a little bit shocked by it, but we hear they make fundraising for. We love that, of course, the Lincoln Center. It's an important place, and it's, I'm just mentioning it also for many others. And but we wonder how much care did they take of the artist, and the institution comes first, I guess, and also in fundraising. But something is wrong, and a small company, a small unit, a mobile unit with a vision and experience how to make things work. You did something, and it was fantastic. Gintare, or Dr. Goraparasit, all of you 3, you also did a work in the Vilnius ghetto, if I understand right. How was that? How did that go? What did you do, and how was it perceived?
In Vilnius Ghetto, no, we didn't do it. It's a new Anna's production that's been successfully shown before first pandemic, right, Anna? And
another project, I remember.
Yeah, we just premiered it before the pandemic, but it was very perfect. It was perfect timing for the premiere, but we didn't do it especially for the pandemic.
Yeah.
I thought you did a video project, or you filmed, or you did some work also.
We did in museum in 9th Forest in Kaunas, a music video of a hip hop band in Lithuania talking about the victims of the Second World War through the hip hop. It was a big adventure in the sense of a choice of the music and the medium to talk through and the place to shoot the music video. In the sense that I was very, when I came back after living in London for 10 years, I came back to Lithuania, and that place in Kaunas, the Museum of Holocaust, was always, like a place of my memory when I was a child, because we used to go there with the school, and teacher used to tell us the stories and so on and so forth, and it used to stay with me, and I feel very big responsibility because I lived in the city. And when I came back, I was just talking with a few young actors, and I realized they don't know the history at all, and no one speaks, and we call it sensitive theme in a sense. And I took this bold decision to make the music video. And the music video track was talking about death and the place limbo between the death and life, and we decided to shoot it in there in the museum outside, with the special decision not to play music, to do it in very silent mode. We had a workshop for a week in my home with the actors talking about death and the history facts, and going through lots of methodology of what death means to you. And even we found this website where you can just put your date of birth, and you can know when you're going to die, and there was a choice of many not to. And we were speaking about this human condition created by humans and why it's happening. And I think the whole experience was very important in a sense. There was lots of controversial ideas of people who saw it, and they said, how dare you play it with the hip hop music? But I say, is it classical or hip hop? It doesn't matter. It really matters how much people are being reached and who is going to be reached and what you're talking about. So yeah, so that was a project, but it was a long time ago. It was like 2015, maybe. And
it is not so long ago, but it seems such a long time ago. What are you watching? Let's say in your region a bit more. What interesting things are happening? What do you hear from Latvia, Romania, from Russia, Belarus? What artists you follow? Maybe you tell us a little bit about your region. Who else you are in contact with?
For example, me at the moment, we kind of making a project between Germany, Belarus, Lithuania, Greece. I think other countries are combining in, and we're talking about the idea of a European center. What is this European center? Because as we know, there's lots of cities in Europe that has European center. And we here as an artist ought to decide which is the actual center. And we think about this project of traveling through the cities. And so we always meet and we talk about the difficult situations in Belarus, so. But as for art, I just don't know. I just watch things online. There's so much, all the institutional houses that raised all the material online, which is wonderful. It used to be before, but if you have a chance to see it live, you go see it live. If no, then you see it online. So, but art-wise, we're gonna probably see artists, because I'm interdisciplinary artist. I'm gonna see lots of artists in Art Vilnius. We have this art fair in September, so you meet lots of galleries and lots of artists there. So I think that's gonna be first time after a long time meeting all this diverse community, not online.
Maybe come back, Anna. What inspires you? What did you see? Is there something in your region, but maybe even around the world? What do you think? What moved you in this last year? What you saw? What inspired you?
To be honest, I try to avoid this stream of live streams. Because for me it's exhausting, and for me the most inspiring thing what is happening around in the world. And I think that the biggest theater performance that we have for now, it's what is happening outside the theater, on the streets, or just watch the news each day. It's the biggest inspiration which inspires me to think about. And I see that it also affects the works I produce. I don't know if it is connected, but most of works that I have produced recently, they are connected with documentary materials, whether these are interviews with Litvaks who survived Holocaust, and we did audio work with that, whether it is documentary video materials from Lithuanian national TV during the times where Soviet Union collapsed. Yeah, now we are developing one of the productions which is connected with the Giuseppe Verdi's opera Traviata, because last year we had one centenary of Lithuanian professional opera culture. And we have tradition in all the state theaters which stage or perform Traviata on December 31st. And they have it as the biggest fun and the biggest feast, just to go and see Verdi's Traviata, although it's a really tragic story about courtesan, about prostitute, but people have fun and connect it with champagne and whatever. So I was very much confused when all the theaters decided to make premieres of Traviata last December. It doesn't happen due to Corona, but it inspired me to think why we are doing this. It's about prostitute, and it's really sad story, but we are celebrating New Year and having fun with beautiful dresses, drinking champagne. So I really try to avoid the stream of performing arts. I try to observe what is happening around in our lives, and I find the reactions through the performances to the facts which are happening in our lives the most meaningful. Just for now, it's the most interesting and inspiring for me.
So do you read books or go to a museum? Or?
No, I read books. I recently I repeated Stefan Zweig, European's Diary, and felt some parallels which were in that book with nowadays. Yeah, I do that, but somehow real life is much more impressive and inspiring. It forces me to question all the things which are happening around and to talk about those things through the art with the help of artists, in collaboration with artists.
How about you, Jim? What did you do for inspiration? What did you look towards?
Films. I can watch like 10 films a day. Manga, anime. I watch lots of anime. It's amazing.
Japanese anime.
Yes, yes. I picked so much amazing methodology for acquisition of the movement of the actor. It's incredible. I mean, there are scenes like the animated character comes into the room, and there's no open window. I don't know. That's so weird. And then because he has a very good haircut, there's a wind blows from somewhere, from left to right. And then the haircut looks incredible, but there's no like open space for the window. It's incredible, it's fantastic. So I picked up all these beautiful bits with no logic, you know, considering the situation of now that we live in total dislogic, you know, but you know, I thought about this situation, sorry for talking over, about this pandemic situation. This is scary and it's tragic for the whole world, but at the same time, you know, this lockdown situation, this mentally lockdown situation, I am as an artist experiencing constantly, always, all these thoughts about these apocalyptic, world changing and so on and so on. It's every day with me, So I thought, okay, now welcome, many of you to think, about this existential things, constantly every day, and we're forced to do this, So all these illogical, irrational movie scenes, anything that I read online, I made this big collection that I really like and make these connections with what's happening now, and what is, asking myself, is this all right to go all this digital way? What's happening with this digital art that takes over all the internet? It's so successful, people selling so much the effort for so much, all these cryptocurrencies. And, it's a big question, like what's going to happen next, where all these forces come in. Today I read about US military developing drones for oiling the eggs of the birds around the aircraft territories. So I thought, birds are going to definitely fight for their nests. So there's going to be a war between the birds and drones. I want to see the scene in a sense of my imagination, but it's horrible. So,
oiling eggs. What? For what?
Yeah, there's going to be a drones that will detect the eggs and nest, and they will oil the eggs so that they lose the pores and the bird inside dies, or it doesn't get, even progress into any kind of a bodily shape. Yeah, so it's I imagine this apocalyptic scene, we're fighting already with machines, and there's the birds fighting with drones, I was thinking about it like a year and a half ago, and here you go. Yeah, so we have all this artificial intelligence, this fear of singularity, that all the machines are going to take over, and this fear of,
I think 2 weeks in a German magazine, they pointed out that the very first time someone tried to write a poem, a novel, just through interface, that was connected, to it sounds like science fiction, but it's someone who's paralyzed, who cannot communicate, and it did work. And it's at the very, very beginning, but it's the very first time that letters could be combined. Through thinking. I mean, this is just a stunning development, and we are so close. Maybe we don't understand. Only later on one will know what really happened in this time. And
but you know what I think? Yeah. There is a theory of the time, because if you have a clock which shows very, very exact time, it consumes lots of material from Earth, like lots of burns, lots of energy. So the time needs to go a little bit off in order to keep the whole planet safe, So I'm thinking, AI will get it right, it will maybe eventually in 5 years will write a novel book, like a Nobel Prize. It's going to be so right that it's not going to be right anymore, And all these micro decisions that we as an artist can make, people, in the sense, they will never be able to catch it up, and that's how we will be able to trick out the AI, in the sense. I don't know, we just need to have the tools, an army of young, intelligent coders. I don't know, I'm thinking of my sister. But
you have belief in the army of young, intelligent coders who will help us.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, and it's not just what we observe. I think there was the famous Wittgenstein experiment. There was a philosophy movement where they said what you cannot really observe doesn't really exist. It was very serious in Vienna. And one day he came to the meeting, had a big clock, and then he put a cardboard in front of it and said, "Can you see the clock now?" And they said, "No," but he said, "Does time still pass?" And they said yes, and that was the end of the movement. This was quite something. So now we see what is really happening. Actually, what happens is what we don't see is more significant. What we see and what we are aware of.
Yeah.
Question for both of you: what did you learn? What are the big lessons of this Corona time? What will you change in your artistic and aesthetic practice? Anna, maybe you start. What did you learn and what will you change?
I learned really a lot of things, as many people, I think, but what I understood that I need some change, because how we lived before the pandemics, that was nightmare, I think, at least how I lived. and we need to change something. I need to change something. Maybe I should do less and to dedicate much more time to good ideas, best ideas. Yeah, of course, this pandemic time also offered some new ideas which are not connected with pandemic. For instance, our organization started collaboration with Lithuanian National Opera and Ballet Theatre. We are going to make co-productions with them together, and we already did an open call for independent artists, and I think it is quite a it is quite a big deal in our performing arts scene when independent small production house cooperates with the biggest national opera house. So I'm looking forward what will come out of this, and many things are still going on. I develop our organization, but I really know that I will need to change something, maybe in my personal life, my attitude, my tempo, maybe, of doing things. Yeah, so I will change something for sure, maybe even this year.
Me? There's a good saying in Lithuanian, very old saying. My sister told me, she is like 6 years old. It's about tomorrow, that it never exists and everyone believes in it. Yeah. I started to. It's about tomorrow. She said me, I guess what I'm talking about, and she says it never exists and everyone believes in it. You know, it's tomorrow. It's very old thing. Yeah. Yeah. So I've learned to appreciate time for all this period personally as a human being, and I really love time. I really like to devote time for things separately. As Anna says, not to rush. You know, it's horrible to rush. It's such a luxury that you can give to yourself. It's time, and you can always find it. You know, and it's so important. And everything needs time. That's what I discovered. And in art-wise, I'm not going to change. You know, I will do the same what I do. You know, and the whole idea of this interdisciplinary technological change doesn't scare me. It's going to take years until it's going to change. The new generation, the generation Alpha, is going to adapt it very easily. It's going to be very dry and technologically based, so they're not going to be scared, you know. And yeah, I think it's going to be great. You know, I just hope this war between the someone is going to change, just finish soon, because I feel somehow that there is an invisible war happening, and we will have more and more viruses coming, in a sense. That's what I'm scared of, you know. But this political change, but I'm trying not to think about it too much, you know. It's this conspiracy ideas, you know, that can overload. And artists, we're going to adapt. We're going to find a way, you know. Cinema is thriving. Netflix is thriving so much. We're gonna find a way, you know, to find the channels of the art. And we're gonna somehow reinvent the connection between the audiences and performance, you know, eventually in a different ways. So,
yeah, it's a time of change. We will have next week a talk about contemporary theater in Chile, and in Chile something stunning happened. It was just the vote was done a couple of days ago. They will be rewriting a constitution for the country. There's a landslide victory of kind of the liberal left forces after, you know, dictatorship, and perhaps since the time of Allende, it will be for the very first time a change where we might think, you know, this is a very good one. It's very optimistic, something unthinkable last December, when the police were still shooting at the eyes of protesters intentionally to shut their eyes out and to calm them down. The same police that a couple of months later shut down the city again with a curfew, but we are only here to protect you for Corona. So this is something stunning. To close down our section, what are your projects? Maybe both of you say, what are you working on, and what are you excited about? What will you do? Anna, maybe you start.
We have repertoire for now. Repertoire of 8 performances, and we are developing around 5
works you can do at any time. 8 you have.
Yes.
Total. Incredible.
Yes, and most of them are touring performances, but some are not touring, as they call them, real estate performances, which are connected with places. For instance, sonic experience at the Vilna Ghetto, because it's created specifically for concrete space. Beside that, we are developing around 5 new productions. We are doing a project together with Lithuanian National Opera and Ballet House, which will bring also, I think, around maybe 3 or 5 new productions. We are releasing new LPs, vinyls, and we are planning new tours, which hopefully will start in September. We are going to Munich, then hopefully to Prague, then hopefully again to Germany, to Thalia Theater in Hamburg.
It's very significant.
Yes. Yeah, and hopefully next year we will organize our 8th Contemporary Opera Festival in NOAA. So we have many huge and ambitious plans, and I hope that it will happen.
Yeah, that's great. That people can travel and experience and come to your country, to your city next year. What about Jin Tara, Dr. Goraparasit?
I think the most exciting very soon project, it's exciting as any other projects. There's premiere in Mars. We'll see how it's going to go. I'm very interested.
When will that open?
In 2 months, I think. We'll see how the whole digital virtual reality is going to be able to.
How will people find out about this? How can they participate?
Online. I will have event created online, and we will have live streaming, so people can wear VR, or they don't need to wear VR, and they can be actually on Mars, on the Mount Olympus.
The virtual reality headset you can experience with the virtual reality headset, but even without on a screen, so you can. If the world doesn't work anymore, we can go to Mars.
Yeah, why not? You know, like to see the performance. So that is interesting experiment that we collaborate. And another, like quite a big project in Hartford University in fall, in October, I think 25th exhibition.
Hartford, Connecticut?
Yeah. And I'm doing exhibition of 5 large video projects of pagan gods. Kind of referring on the Lithuanian kind of identity search for nostalgia, you know, for the historical events that never happened in the particular generations, you know, like going into the paganism and doing other many things, establishing into your routine in search of your identity as Lithuanian. It's a big theme. It's a very sensitive theme for us. So I'm developing 6 of 5 pagan gods. The picture of it, of them. 5 pagan gods.
Video portraits.
Yes, video portraits of 5 pagan gods. So it's kind of the modernized version, you know.
And it'll be 5 very big screens where you created visually changing material that discuss the identity of things that happen. Okay. No performance, not a performance.
No, it's going to be an exhibition of 5 portraits, and we will do a lecture. Also, it's like a collaborative work between university and me, and I will lecture, and I will work closely with the actors and different other departments. Just again, experience this interdisciplinarity work while creating this video projects. So that's that. And in Lithuania, there's going to be a very interesting project in September in Kaunas. There's a very interesting festival that I kind of got to know this year. It's called House. So the festival chooses one small old house with a historical kind of a factor, and they recreate, you know, different performances in the house. So this year they chose me, and I will recreate this whole idea of being female in the world and experiencing things from the female eyes. And I will recreate these ghosts of mine, all these bad and good thoughts, into the portraits of latex vacuum, and they will stand as a ghost in different rooms of the house. So I'm looking forward for this very much so. And we're developing a few other ideas, but you know, I could go on and on. So
Go on and on. I know. That's incredible, incredible what's happening there. We are all so focused on here, all we hear from Germany or Munich or France, in London, but you know, the world is a big place. There are great, great traditions out there and great work. What you guys do, the Baltic region, at the moment in New York, also Gundiga Laivina is visiting from Latvia. She's a curator. They kept a festival open during Corona. They do extremely important work. So it is truly a region. We all should know more about it, and we should focus on it. So really, thank you all for joining us and for being with us. It's an important moment to really hear more and to be aware of theater in the world globally. It is so vastly different to hear that you all keep on working, that you are able to do all this. This is just stunning, and we really am happy that that we could get some messages from the planet Earth during the times of Corona, and I think it is inspiring what you do. So I hope all of us you will join us tomorrow and on Friday here on Segal Talks. We will continue to hear from around the world, and we look forward to continuing our relationship, most probably also over the summer with HowlRound. They have been such a great partner and an important partner for us. So I think it is a contribution to that discussion, as we heard today, something we would not know without. We will have Carrie Perloff, the great American director, legend as a producer, and also as a directing artist, one of the very few women who work in the field successfully over decades and have put an imprint really on the American theater. So this is a great thing to hear about changes that are happening a long time ago, in times when also things looked difficult, dangerous, and I can't wait to hear what she thinks, how she's experiencing this time, and what she will tell us about. And then we will hear from Chile, as I said, on Friday, and this will be an important update from playwrights and producers. What we are doing here, and so I think you all will be able to join us, and it will be with Martin Valdez and his collaborators in Chile. He is working for Milo Rau and for the München Festspiele. So I talk to you too soon, and please, thank you to everybody. Thank you for listening, and all my best. And thank you to listeners for taking the time to be with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.